Hello and welcome back to Tejedora Knits. My name is Gladys. I am a knitter and crafter based out of Southern Nevada, and today I have a classic podcast episode for you, episode number 2. So as you can see, we finally have some interest here in the background. My yarn board video, I'm currently editing it. It is going to be coming out after this podcast episode. So there will be a little bit more to come on that. I'm aiming for 3 videos a month, so I'm going to try my best to keep up with that. But I have a lot of fun updates since the last time I filmed, which has been 3 weeks. Today is February 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. It is a Saturday, so exactly 3 weeks, and I have a lot of, I only have one finished project. But I have updates on the 2 whips. I have 2 new cast-ons, swatch, acquisitions, and I have some thoughts to share with you about Drops yarn. So stay tuned for that. Be like a mini review slash testing slash my overall thoughts on the brand. So let's get started. Okay, so we'll start with finished objects. I'm not wearing anything knit today, so don't have anything to share about that. It is 70 degrees over here in Southern Nevada, which is equal parts nice. It's beautiful weather, but worrisome that it's this hot this soon. Last summer we reached 120 degrees. I really hope that we don't reach that again, but it's not looking very promising so far. So spring is in full, it is a full-fledged spring over here, and my spring project plans should have come up before this, so you'll start to see some of those popping in already. And it is biggest thing, it's time to wrap up all my fluffy projects. As much as I love working with fluff and mohair, it's starting to get a bit warm, so it's time to finish those up. So my first finished item are my Polymnia Mitts from Sari, Nordlund. Let me see, try and get the light. I'm filming a little bit later in the day than I usually do, so we have some nice ambiance lighting coming in. These are the Polymnia Mitts from Sari, Nordlund, and they have this beautiful cable. Let me try and hide my face. There we go. This beautiful cable detail up on the front. I was halfway through my second knit when I last updated you guys, and they're done. These have been so fun and so practical to wear. I've already gotten so much use out of them. We'll see how much more we get, because again, it's warming up rather quickly. I'm hoping we get another little cold snap before winter, I guess, is officially over. One could wish. But these are made with WitchFire fibers, a strand of their non-superwash fingering Merino, and a strand of their lace Alpaca. Actually, it's the same combo that I have up here, just these 2 are in a different color. So I used a little bit less than half of the skein, so I guess it would be 150 grams, so 100 from the Merino and then 50 from the Mohair, the Suri. And this used 47 grams total to do the little mitts. So what does it make it? About 1/3 of the yarn. I thought it was going to take up a little bit more, but some of the modifications that I made, the original pattern is quite long. It goes close to your elbow almost. I decided that that wasn't going to be super practical for me, so I ended up taking out 2 ribbing repeats to accommodate for, the circumference. It is done in 2x2 rib. So initially I did try and do the 2x2 rib tubular cast on, and it was I wasn't a fan of how it was looking. I needed to frog back because of a mistake. So when I restarted, I just did a twist German cast on, which I kind of very much like for the 2x2. I feel like it still looks, I feel like it still looks very neat and so much easier than the 2x2 tubular cast on. For the bind off though, I did do the 2x2 tubular, when you have to rearrange the stitches to do a 1x1 cast off. And I think that's fine. It's just the cast on that I don't think it's worth it. So anyways, I removed 2 sets of ribbing from it, and then I did 1 chart repeat before following the instructions for the thumb gusset per pattern. And then, so these are 2 full chart repeats, and then about a little bit of, I'd say about an inch of ribbing before I cast off. So this length makes them very nice and practical. I was going to say popular, very practical. And these are so warm. I've already mentioned that the Suri base from WitchFire Fibers is my favorite because it has a little bit of cashmere in it, and it is just the most luxurious thing ever that I put my hands on, and it's just a joy. I do see myself making probably at least 2 more pairs of fingerless mitts. They're very practical for me. I mostly just use them when I'm driving to work in the morning and it's a little bit chilly. So it just adds that perfect amount of warmth. So I will make more. I probably won't make the same pattern. I would like to just, try out and experiment. As you have seen in my spring plans video, my word for the year in knitting is experimentation. That is my biggest goal. So that involves experimenting with designers, with patterns, with techniques, with yarns, with dyers, just not limiting myself and jumping in and taking in everything that the craft has to offer. So yeah, this is my only finished object that I have. So let's move on to my works in progress. So I have 2 that were in my previous podcast and then 2 new cast-ons. So let's start with the old whips. Let's start with my sock. I think that's the first one that I mentioned last time. And we have a full sock and the cuff of the next sock. So these are the Soma Socks from Polymnia Mitts. So it has a 2, is this 2x3? I believe it's 2x3 if I'm not mistaken, 2x3 rib here at the front. And then it has a faux cable detailing all the way down the foot of the sock. And it has Andalusian stitch on the front and then just stockinette on the back. It is a classic heel flap and gusset construction. And I made these in the size small, 56 stitches. So my foot measures for the size medium in her patterns, in the Summerly patterns, which if I'm not mistaken is maybe like a 62 or 64 inch cast on. And that was massive. I do have I'd say a bit of a looser gauge. I do knit on tiny circulars. These are 9-inch circulars. So I do relax my hands quite a bit to avoid hand cramping. And I feel like that definitely shows up. My second pair of socks, I tried to do like an in-between size of the small and medium, and that was better, but it still wasn't, it was still a bit loose. So I decided to go for the smallest adult size, I guess, in this one, and it fits perfectly. It fits perfectly around the ankle, like it just hugs so well. I have a size, I wear a size like 8, 8.5 in, US women's shoe sizing. So they are a bit long compared to how skinny the socks are. I do have a bit more of a narrow foot, but this fit, I nailed it. I finally, on my 3rd attempt, I finally got the right size of socks. So yeah, I finished my first sock. I'm very proud that it actually fits well. So I'm very excited to use that. The yarn that this is the Woolberry Fiber Co. Woolberry yarn, I guess, in their berry sock base, which is BFL, which is Blueface Leicester, if I'm not mistaken. I've been pronouncing it wrong. Thank you to the kind comment who told me how to pronounce it. But it is BFL nylon blend. I don't know the name of the colorway for this one. I kind of forced myself to cast on the second sock because it just wasn't, I don't know. I was starting to get second sock syndrome. So I just forced myself one day to cast on and got, a decent amount of progress. And now it can just, lay in the background for when I need a portable little project. So those are my updates on my socks. Next, I have my Seaway Pullover, which has quite a bit of progress. Let's show it off. Here we are. Okay, so it has a lot of progress. Last time I saw you, I was working I'm trying not to touch my mic, but sometimes I forget. I was working on the second front panel. I finished the first one. So we finished up the panels, we joined in the round, we worked the body, I worked the collar, and I am currently doing the ribbing for the hem. It does have quite a bit of ribbing. I believe 4 inches is the recommendation. I have maybe a little bit over an inch done so far. I am planning on probably trying it on at the 3-inch mark and seeing if I want to keep on going or if I'm going to adjust, you know, the amount of ribbing. One thing about this, my row gauge was quite off, so my armholes turned out to be massive, quite massive. And I ended up deciding, because at first I was debating whether I should follow the sleeve instructions for a larger size. I'm getting size 1 in the pattern. In the pattern, so the sleeve instructions for size 1 and 2 are the same. So I would have had to size up to maybe a size 3 or 4 sleeve. And I was concerned that that might affect the proportionality of the sweater. So I ended up deciding to seam up an inch. I don't think you'll be able to see, it's pretty invisible, but I ended up seaming up an inch here at the armhole, and I'm just going to follow the instructions per pattern. So I'm hoping that that's enough to kind of offset for that. This is a knit on 5mm needles, and the yarn that I am using is, for the fingering, I have, this is the Ula and Leah Baby Camel, so it's 100% Baby Camel in the color dark blue Harbor. And like I said, it's a fingering weight. And then the fluff, I'm pairing this with the Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the color Deep Petroleum Blue. Same one that I have right over here. This combination, I think I've mentioned it so many times, but this combination of fabric, it's just so lovely, so luxurious. It is such a dream to knit up with, and I'm going to assume to wear as well. A fun little fact about this, these yarns smell so nice. It smells like natural, outdoorsy sort of, but without that, like, you know, dirty, dusty, sweaty component of the outdoors, you know. The yarns from Ula and Leah do not come scoured, so they do have instructions on how to scour them yourself. So I did mine with just, what is it, Palmolive dish soap? I don't know. I got a huge bottle of dish soap from Costco, so whatever that is, pretty sure it's Palmolive. It's a green one. I washed it with hot water and that dish soap. So it smells very, I've never smelled a camel up close, but I want to say it smells pretty camel-y. It smells like very animal-y in a very good way. So it's just one of those tiny little things that I'm enjoying a lot. It just smells so nice. It smells really nice. I did, like I said, I finished the collar. This pattern has like a very high collar, and as you might know, I don't like things around my neck, so I knew that that was just not going to be an option. So I ended up just doing a classic ribbed, I don't even know, this is just like a classic collar. I knit an inch, and it is perfect because it lays right underneath my collarbones, which is exactly how I prefer it. So I just knit exactly 1 inch of ribbing, and for this one I did tubular bind off. So if you're a beginner knitter like me, at the beginning I was very confused, like, what's the difference between a tubular versus an Italian bind off? I thought that they were the same thing, and maybe just people called them differently, but I come to learn Italian bind off is just like the sewn bind off portion. When you add these setup rows, you know, you do a row of, like, you knit the knits and slip the purls, and then you alternate, you knit the purls and slip the knits. So you do 2 setup rows and then do the bind off. That is tubular. So apparently the difference, to my understanding, is that the tubular will add a little bit more structure as opposed to the Italian. And I have tried both. I think for my acorn pullover, I did just Italian without the setup rows, and I could tell the difference. I know some people say that they can't tell, but I can tell. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I feel like for this one, I chose to do the tubular because it is airier. It's an airier fabric because it is knit on 5mm needles. So because of that, I felt like it could benefit from the extra structure, from the structural integrity that these slip rows would provide. And I think I was right. I very much like it. Another thing is that the collar does call for a smaller needle size. I believe it's 4.5 that I did for the collar, but it specifies to use the same needle size for the ribbing for the hem and the sleeves. So I think that's actually a good choice. I think it looks really nice. I'm very excited. Hopefully I get to wear this at least once or twice, at least in the morning times when I'm finished. I definitely won't be able to wear it, you know, for a full day, but I shall take what I can get. So this is going rather well. I am currently on my 3rd ball of Mohair and my 2nd ball of Camel. So I think I'll probably have a good amount of leftovers. I'll probably use the leftovers for a colorwork beanie for my son. So those were the 2 old whips. Now for the 2 new ones. So to make as a set with the Polymnia Mitts, I wanted to make a little neck scarf to use up the rest of the yarn. And this is what I have. This is the Terpischore Scarf from Sari Nordlund. It's from the same book, the Softly Timeless Knits that the mitts are from. So it is just a classic cable. This is a 2x2 right-leaning cable done over 4. It repeats every 4 rows. So it's these nice tight little cables, and the color is so scrumptious. This is what I have left of my yarn. I am almost done. Just these 2 little, just a little bit more. So originally the pattern calls for 10 chart repeats. So every repeat will give you an extra cable, and it's designed to work with a ball of Merino, a 50-gram ball, and a 25-gram ball of Mohair. But because my gloves used a little bit less than half, I knew I was going to have extra. So I decided to do an 11th repeat. So it has 1 extra cable before starting my decreases. So this is kind of like the widest point in the scarf. So as you can see, I have just a tiny bit left, 3 chart repeats left, and then the tip, which is a separate chart. I'll be honest, I was having quite a hard time getting this started over here on this edge. I was having a hard time understanding the chart because the increases aren't done at the very edge. It has this cable stays put, and then the increases happen all along the edge of the cable. So I was having a hard time figuring out, like remembering to put my increases in the right place. I definitely made some mistakes. I had to frog quite a few times, and we all know frogging with fluff is not fun. So I was starting to get a bit frustrated. I was about to put it in timeout. So if you are a beginner cabler, I thought this was going to be a great beginner project. And after I got the hang of it, it's been really nice. But I will say learning to cable with my Seaway Pullover has been a lot easier than this one. So just make of that what you will. What I found super helpful is that I have a little marker at the point where I need to do my increases / decreases. So that way it helps me remember. Even then, I'm still sometimes forgetting, but this has made it a lot more helpful in making sure I increase at the right or decrease at the right spot. So this baby will be done in hopefully a couple of days. And then I'll get it blocked so that it'll lay nicely and these cables will open up. So overall, after I got over that initial learning curve, it's been really enjoyable. It's been a really enjoyable knit. It will definitely be a finished object in the next one. I doubt that I'll finish my Seaway Pullover. I'll probably get close. I'll probably have at least 1 sleeve done. That's going to be my goal. And the sock, I can make no progress, no promises. That'll just get worked on whenever it does. So I'll move on to my second new cast on. Oof, also so excited. It makes me so happy to see that. I love my projects, and doing this gives me so much joy. But I am doing a self-draft from, again, if you've seen it in my spring plans, this is going to be called my tomato sweater. As you can see, the color is the star of the show. This is why it is called tomato sweater. This is, the yarn is the Explorer Knits and Fibers Heirloom. The color is called Heirloom, and it is in their linen sock base, which is 80% non-superwash wool. Yes, non-superwash merino, 20% linen. And I can say that this base has been such a dream to work with. I love linen in like my real life. I like my linen pants. I wear them all year long, linen shirts, linen everything, because again, I live in a very hot climate. So I am a big fan of linen. And This ratio, this 80-20, is just really nice. It gives you the benefit of working with, you know, the bounciness and the elasticity of wool, while also adding a little bit more of that like drape that the linen provides. So I'm doing a self-draft sweater. It is going to be, we're going for beachy, relaxed, lightweight summertime. And this is what I have so far. Ooh, the yarns are pulling on it. Let's get this right. There we go. So I think it's easier if I show it to you like this. So it is going to be, this is going to be a raglan. I did not knit a neckline because I'm going to go back and add in an I-cord edge. I want to do all I-cord finishes, no ribbing on this one. I decided to do try out yarn overs instead of raglans. I hope that you can see it right there. I'm going to do yarn overs instead of make one left and right. And I really like it. I feel like it's adding to that like relaxed, slightly more dainty vibe, I guess. So I've really been enjoying that. I did add some short rows as well, and I will be doing a specific project vlog for this sweater once it's done, so I can walk you guys through the whole process. I am knitting this on 4.5mm needles with just, you know, one strand of fingering. So it is a very breezy, gauzy, open gauge, which I personally love. So my gauge before blocking was 25 stitches per 4 inches, and after blocking it grew, I guess the stitches grew, so my gauge shrunk to 23 stitches per 4 inches. The drape that the linen provides is beautiful. I would definitely see myself buying this base again on, you know, from Explore Knits and Fibers. That is where my tomato sweater is at. And then I have one little swatch. Another one of my spring plans is Cloudy Days Vest by Alicia Plummer. And I have swatched for it. So I bought the pattern and I started swatching. Let me see if you can get a good little picture. So it has this like little cloud poofy stitch. I need to block this to see if I hit gauge, because the poofs obviously contract the fabric quite a bit. So hopefully hit gauge. This is done on 6mm needles, which is actually one of the acquisitions that I have. I have a half set of Chiaogus that go from like the, what is it, 2.75mm to 5mm. And the pattern called for 6. So I decided to get the 6. I didn't know is that you need a large cable size for these 6mm. I had to buy a cord. I don't even remember how many inches this one is. I think it's maybe 50 centimeters or something. I don't know. But this is the only cord I have that works with my 6mm, so we're going to make it work for now. The yarn that I am using is the WitchFire Fibers Natural DK. So it is their non-superwash, 100% organic merino yarn in the DK weight, in the color Coven Sister. That is the same skein that is up here as well. So that skein will be coming down quite soon because I will be alternating skeins since it is a hand-dyed yarn. I'm hoping that it will go by rather quickly because, you know, the needle size is large. So next podcast, I will definitely have some more updates as far as how much progress I have been able to make on this. I have been itching with castanitis these past few days, so I'm just so ready to start casting on all these spring projects. And then I have another project that I will be trying to cast on very soon. As soon as I unoccupy my 5mm needles, I will be swatching for another project. So my acquisition for the month, one of them, I guess, very excited to talk about the other one, but the other acquisitions are all pre-orders. So this is the only physical one that I have. So this is the Issayer Alpaca 3 yarn in the color number 18. I don't remember the actual number, but I'll put it in the actual name description. I'll put it in the description box. Chainette style yarn. It's 50% alpaca, 50% wool. And with this, I'm going to be making the home sweater V-neck by Kadri for my mother. I am going to try and be working on one gift knit at a time, and you know, with my whips, and just saving everything and letting it accumulate for the end of the year so I have everything ready to gift. This is going to be my next cast on afterwards. Okay, so now how about we have a little knit chat about drops, and then I'll go back to my 2 pre-orders that I have. Of course, you know, I feel like everybody has to have heard of drops if you're in the knitting world. Incredibly popular because they are such affordable yarns. I kind of had my, I don't know, I was a bit skeptical about it because, again, the price is so low. So my mind goes to, I'll try to verbalize this as eloquently as I can. When prices are so low, whether it comes to yarn or clothing or, you know, whatever it has to be, I am usually concerned that somewhere along the supply chain, the production chain, someone or something, some animal, somebody wasn't treated in a fair or ethical manner in order to keep prices low. That is my concern. Now, I am fully aware that there can be brands that are selling things at a higher price point and are also not following sustainable or ethical production requirements or production, you know, standards, and they're just not letting us know. So I am not saying that higher price points will always come with higher ethics, but I do try when I am able to, again, to support brands that promote or, you know, pay more attention and emphasize more their sustainability clauses. Or if they're a small business, I'm not expecting small businesses to do their whole, to be doing the most when they don't have the resources that larger brands do. But again, when you're supporting small businesses, for me, it's more like the art form. I'm supporting an artist. So that's very different from, you know, commercial brands that have a lot of resources. So there is that said. But again, I do appreciate the fact that there are brands that are able to offer, you know, supplies and yards at a lower price point. So, you know, for people who do need a lower price point to be able to participate in the specific craft that is, you know, knitting or crochet, that they're able to do that too, because I feel like knitting shouldn't be an exclusionary hobby. But let's be honest, at least from here in the United States, every single hobby is expensive. Everything needs, or not expensive, but every hobby that I can mostly think of needs some sort of monetary investment. Even if it's running around your neighborhood, you still need a decent pair of shoes that are not going to damage your feet. So, you know, I feel like it's really hard to have completely free or very cheap hobbies, specifically in the context of the United States. I can't speak for other countries. So with that, you know, everybody should buy the yarn that is best for them. Use whatever works for you. I will try to support artists and small businesses as much as I can, but I wanted to see if any of these yarns would be suitable for me. So with that, I bought a single ball of quite a few of their different yarns. And the main reason that I did all of this is because I wanted to, I'm very excited. God willing, am going to be an auntie in a few months, and I'm over the moon about that and wanted to start looking for yarns that were more baby friendly from a softness and a skin sensitivity perspective, but also I didn't want to have like a luxury yarn on the little baby garment that they're gonna, you know, spit up all over or something like that. So I wanted to look for more affordable yarns for those baby projects. I'm still not letting myself buy anything until it's a little bit further along, but I did want to start planning for that. So that was the main reason for all of this. So I made little swatches of all of the yarns, and I definitely have my thoughts. Some of them were very disappointing. Some of them I was rather impressed. So let's talk about that for a little bit. The common thought that I had for all of these yarns is that I found that they were very, very loosely spun. Like that just seemed to be a common characteristic for most of these yarns. And I thought it was quite odd because I feel like I hadn't encountered that before. It gives me the impression that these were run through the machines as quickly as possible to reduce production. I could be totally wrong. This is just my assumption based on the product that I have received. I was not impressed on how easily these yarns just like come unplied. So I found that to be the case with almost all of these yarns. So I'm just keeping that in mind. I guess I'll start with the baby merino because that is the main reason. I wanted to see if baby merino was in fact suitable for bebés. So this is the little ball of baby merino that I got in this nice little burgundy color. It is called, color number is called 51. The baby merino super wash extra fine merino wool. I believe this is a sport weight. They also don't have the weights on here. They just have like yarn group A. And the recommended needle size is 3 millimeters, which I don't have. So anyways, I made a little swatch with 3.25. So this is what my little swatch ended up. Overall, it was nice. As far as softness, I definitely think this is soft enough for baby skin. If I were to guess, I kind of use myself as a gauge. But the main issue with this one is that because it was so loosely plied, I found myself tightening my tension a lot to compensate for that, because I was trying to keep the yarn together because it just like kept on trying to floof apart and fall apart. So it makes me question how the durability, like, will this come undone? Or maybe it's just, maybe if you knit it at a fingering tension, I don't know. I feel like if you play around with it, it could work. But just something to note, I do felt like this yarn was just like falling apart all the time. But it was very soft. So I'm sure I'll find a use for it in something. So that was the first one. So overall, it was fine. I did make another swatch where I held it double. Quite liked it. This one I did on 4.5 millimeter needles. And I feel like double, it adds more of that structure that I feel like it lacks on its own. So I would definitely use it as a double, held double. I want to say this is giving more of like a worsted texture. Maybe you can get away with a DK, but I think it's more like a worsted. So I don't know if I'll buy it for like the baby projects I have in mind. Possibly. I haven't fully decided on all the things I'm going to be making, but it is very soft. So, I mean, if you need a soft sport / heavy fingering weight, I think it worked out quite well. And then we all know that these prices are super, super affordable. Of all the different ones I tried, I think the cheapest was around $2 and change, and the most expensive was $4 and change. And they're all little 50-gram balls. Another one that I was looking forward to trying out is the extra fine merino. Again, I got this in a burgundy color, color 48, whatever that is. And it is, again, super wash extra fine merino. I wanted to make sure I tried some good super wash versions. The parents can just, you know, chuck things in the wash if they need to. I don't expect them to be hand washing baby things. So this one is a DK weight. And this one, of all, I feel like it was just incredibly loosely plied. Like I had to cut off like a big chunk in the beginning that was just completely unraveled. So there is that. So again, I was really tightening my tension to compensate, to try and keep the yarn together. And again, I'm concerned about if the structural integrity of the garment with such a loose ply. I have it, so I'm going to try and use it. But again, it's nice. It's very soft, you know, so there's that. But this whole loosey-goosey thing is really, I had never experienced that before in the yarns that I've tried. So that's quite new for me. So anyways, I did want to try 2 cotton options, or cotton blends at least, because again, it's very hot here and I wanted to have options of what if I want to do something with cotton. And I know cotton is, again, very nice for sensitive baby skins. So I'm already like feeling this one. This is their Saffron 100% cotton. This is not the mercerized one. I think the mercerized is called Musket. But this is, I want to say this color is probably called Almond or something along those lines. It's number 21. And this one's just like 100% cotton. This is the cheapest one. This is one that was like $2 and change. Also, group A, I think this is a sport. And recommended needle size is 3 millimeters. I did this one on 2.75. So overall, I think I definitely have some tension issues because I have not made a full garment with 100% plant-based fibers. So definitely need to learn to adjust. Again, the same loosely plied situation. There are, I'll try and show you in the overlay, there are tiny little bits where the yarn would split and I didn't end up picking up every single thread. So that's kind of annoying. But overall, this one was fine. I I ordered all of these yarns on Linda Hobby, and I realized that there are other very affordable brands on there as well that I feel like have a bigger emphasis on sustainability. And one of them is BC Garn. BC Garn on the Linda Hobby website is like half of the price as other American retailers. Linda Hobby is based out of the UK, and it has really affordable shipping. I think it's like $5 to ship to the United States, which is incredible. Even shipping in the United States is more expensive than $5. And if I were to choose a cotton for a baby garment, I would like to try the BC Garn cotton. I think it's called Alba. It is a 100% organic cotton. And again, I like the sustainability initiatives of BC Garn more than I do for drops. And it's also still very affordable. I think the difference would be maybe like $1 or $2, but I think I would try that one out if I decide to make a baby garment in cotton. But overall, you know, this one's fine. You know, if you need a sport weight, that's kind of my thoughts on all of them. Like, they're fine, but nothing is wow. But, you know, again, for the price point, it's like kind of like beggars can't be choosers. If you want to have a low price point yarn, something has to go. Next, I have the cotton merino, which, to be honest, I was, see, it's already falling apart. I was pleasantly surprised with this one. It's a 50-50 cotton wool blend. This one is, I want to say DK weight. Yeah, because it's recommended it's 4 millimeters. This is a 4.5 millimeter knit. I mean, the swatch is on 4.5. This color was not the color that it looked like online. It looked much more rusty and less orange, and this is definitely a little bit more pumpkin-y type color. It is a cute color at the end of the day. So yeah, like I said, this one is quite soft. Again, no minimal little prickles. I think it would still be totally fine for baby skin. And this one ended up quite well. Still that loosey-goosey situation that is going on with all of these yarns, but overall I think it was good. Next are yarns that I tried more for my own experimenting purposes. I'll start with the ever so popular Drops Belle. This, I do remember, is the color Zinc. What number is this? 7. Oh, there we go. This is the Drops Belle. It is such a, these are all like teeny tiny balls. They're so cute. And I was quite impressed with this one. I quite liked it. I know it's a popular dupe for, I guess, I don't know if dupe is the right word, but it has the same content as the Sandus Garn Line. But I do know that the Line has a much more extensive color options. Overall, this knit up quite well. I would definitely see myself making a project out of this. The only concern for me is that this would probably be a bit thick. This is more of like a DK worsted. I think it's close to like a worsted. So it would make a bit of a thicker garment. I'm not sure if that would be super practical for me for a summer garment. But I honestly think a sweater in this plant-based fiber would be quite nice. So yeah, this is one of the yarns that I would actually see myself purchasing at some point. Another one that did not live up to the hype was Drops Alpaca. Now this one I bought because Rebecca Clove from the Creabea has mentioned in her podcast episodes that she really likes the Drops Alpaca. Again, she has talked about how she has moved away from purchasing drop yarns, but the one yarn that she does really enjoy from them is the Drops Alpaca held with silk mohair. And she says that it was really soft and that she really likes it. So I was like, okay, I love alpaca in general. So I wanted to try it out, and it was not as soft as I would like it to be. Just in the ball, it feels a bit scratchy against skin. But I know alpaca transforms when you block it, so I decided to give it a chance. So for this one, it is a fingering weight. I held it double for my swatch on 4.5 millimeter needles, and it feels really nice when you're knitting it up. I just wasn't a fan that it wasn't super duper soft, and it did soften a lot after blocking. So I don't know if I would wear this next to skin per se, at least maybe not around my neck, but it is tolerable. However, I don't necessarily see myself seeking this yarn out for my own projects. I got a ball of the Alpaca silk because I didn't want to try their mohair, since too many people have said that it's scratchy. And again, with my reactive skin, I just kind of feel like that's going to be one of the things that could give me a rash or something. So, you know, I'm not playing with it. So I decided to try their alpaca silk, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. I liked this one. This one is a blend of 77 alpaca, 23 silk. This is the one that's categorized as an Aran weight. However, it's one of those things, like, I don't know how they came up with that. I'll try and put in a little overlay of a strand of this brushed alpaca, a strand of my Suri alpaca lace from WitchFire, which is going to be the orange one on the screen, and then a strand of my Knitting for Olive Blue Mohair, so you can kind of see the differences in the thickness. For my swatch, I held it with the baby Merino on 4.5mm needles. Overall, it created a really nice, soft, fluffy, this knit up to, again, more of like a worsted texture. But I really liked this combination. This baby, I would probably say, if I were to use this the alpaca silk, I'd probably hold it with a more true fingering weight as opposed to that sport type weight. Because I don't gravitate towards thick fabrics. But like I said, I really enjoyed this one. The brushed alpaca silk, I did find it to be a lot softer than the 100% alpaca. So there's that to note. I guess it also varies since this one is held with a softer merino, but this one is really nice, I will say. And then the one last one, the one that disappointed me the most is the Drops Fabel sock yarn. Holy moly. This was weird to knit with. It's just, you know, a superwash 75 wool, 25 polyamide. This is a sensory nightmare. I didn't think I was a big sensory person, but now with knitting, I'm realizing I kind of am a sensory person. This swatch is teeny tiny because it was just, again, a sensory nightmare to work with. The best way I can describe it is that I used to play guitar for many, many years, and I had really tough calluses on my hands from the guitar. And when you have calluses that intense, they usually catch on things and, you know, have that weird sensation. That is how I felt like with this yarn. I kind of felt like it was just getting caught on my skin, and it's not necessarily prickly or anything, but it just feels like very plasticky. I don't know how to describe it, because like the finished fabric, it's not my favorite, but it's fine. But it was so uncomfortable for me to work with this. So this one is definitely going in the art supplies bin. I'm not going to knit with these. And I wanted to try it out because my son had requested if he wanted me to make him a pair of blue socks. And I wanted to see, this is like, what, $2 or something like that. I was like, oh, well, you know, let's give it a try. Absolutely not. I will be looking for other affordable sock yarns. This unfortunately just did not work for me. So those are my thoughts on drop yarns. So to kind of summarize, the yarns that I would see myself purchasing at some point in time are probably the Drops Belle and or the brushed alpaca silk. These are probably the two that I like the most. As far as average, I would classify all of the baby yarns, the extra fine merino, the baby merino, the saffron, and the cotton merino. And the two that were no-goes for me, the Drops Fabel sock yarn and the alpaca. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what your thoughts are, and you know, if you have anything to share about Drops yarn. Okay, I know this has probably been going on for a really long time. I'm almost done. I just had so much to share with you guys today. I have 2 pre-order acquisitions to chat about. And again, I'm relishing in the joy that this craft is bringing me, because we all need all the joy that we can get. My mental health is being propped up by knitting and my Peloton workouts. Let's be honest, because it's at least here in the United States, it's been quite rough for us in general. So I placed an order with Ruby and Roses for her Downton Abbey collection. I had briefly mentioned it in my first podcast, I think the pre-order might still be open. I don't know if it'll be open by the time I upload this video, but she had a Downton Abbey collection, which I am currently watching. I'm almost done with the second season and I am loving it. It is so good. And it's just been so special to connect with these colorways and see the inspirations going on the screen. Really get that full encompassing joy from these inspirations, from these characters, from these colorways. Like, again, that's probably the most important thing for me in art and in knitting is connecting. And I really, really felt that connection. So I ended up going for 3 different colorways. First is the one that I had mentioned in the previous podcast, which is called Brave New World. I saw that scene after that colorway had come out. And I'm watching Downton Abbey for the very first time right now, so I've never watched it before. And when that scene came out that she has the pictures from, I wanted to cry. It was just so emotionally moving and I loved it so much. And I could really see the dyer's inspiration coming through. So Brave New World, and I'm trying not to use the words "it spoke to me" because I say that way too often. I'm trying to use more descriptive words. But Brave New World is very deep and rich, and it has those beautiful earthy tones, but with the speckling, I feel like it really brings through the emotions of going through this massive change in world history and the colors that are being surrounded by them in the Downton Abbey home and, you know, in the different scenes that they're going through. So I was enamored with this colorway. And, but, you know, because it is more of a speckle variegated, which I don't usually go towards, I do enjoy tonals quite a bit. So I was trying to figure out a plan because I only like to buy things with some sort of plan in mind. And I'm going to go for like a simple garter scarf for it, more like a shawl style. I am taking some inspiration from the petite knit, which again, I'm not a heavy petite knitter. It's just, I find inspiration in other places. So I'm not heavy on petite knit for the most part, but I'm going to take inspiration from her Sophie shawl and kind of play around with it and see what I want to do as far as a simple shawl type scarf situation. I got it in her non-superwash Aran base. I got 2 skeins, and then I have 2 other ones that I just, they were so beautiful. I couldn't just choose one. So I'll talk about Commitment Moment first. So Commitment Moment is based off of the commitment of Lady Mary and Matthew, which is, again, Lady Mary is my favorite character. I see a lot of her, a lot of me, especially my younger self. I see a lot of my younger self in her, and I just love her. And this rich burgundy color just, again, it's very much in my color palette. A little tip that I got from my best friend. I was having a hard time choosing between these different colors because there's another similar one. I think it's called Cottagecore. That one has a little bit more red in it, and this one has more of like those olivey undertones. So she told me to screenshot the knit swatches and blow them up next to my face and look in the mirror. And that was the deal. That was best advice. So I just went with the one that really made my skin glow, and that Commitment Moment it was made for my skin tone. So I got 2 skeins in their soft rose base, which is superwash. I do prefer non-super washes, but with this one, I really wanted that true burgundy colorway. It's like a burgundy berry. It's not like a flat burgundy. It's like it's just yummy. It's yummy. I'm struggling to find the right descriptive words, but I'm trying. So I got 2 skeins of fingering, and I am planning on making a little blouse. I'll pop a picture of it. It's like a nice dainty little blouse with a little bit of like scalloped edges. I'm going to see how wearable that is here in the summertime for me. I do know that non-superwash has more of those temperature regulating properties, but you know, we're going to try it with a superwash and just see how it goes. So I got 2 skeins for that. And the last one that I went for is Glow Up, which is inspired by Edith's, you know, literally glowing up and growing up and finally finding her place and her purpose. I've not yet reached that part of the series, but this beautiful multi-dimensional teal, again, when I held it up to my face, oof, it was so good. So this one is really special because my best friend, Mariah, if you're watching, I love you. We decided we are going to be making matching tanks. So we're going to do the Palm Spring tanks by Knit California. I think it's currently in testing, should be released sometime in the springtime. But we are both going to be making matching tanks, coordinating. I'll say coordinating. She got a different colorway. She got Chauffeur, which again, she nailed it from the scenes of the Chauffeur in the series. She nailed the colorway. But we are going to be taking a vacation together in the summertime, so we thought it would be really fun if we make these tanks together and, you know, wear them on our vacation together. So I am incredibly excited about that. So I got, again, 2 skeins in the same base, the superwash fingering weight. So I got 6 skeins total. So I try to find smaller projects so that I could try a few different colorways instead of just doing one big sweater quantity. And again, I have to remember, it's hot where I live. I don't need 50 sweaters. I need more tanks and tees and, you know, things that I can use for more time out of the year. So that is what I got from the Ruby and Roses collection. There's one more thing that I pre-ordered. Again, oh, it's so cute. But this one is a book. So I pre-ordered the Romantic Knits book from Fabel Knitwear. She has that ethereal, historical, timeless knitwear pattern inspo that I am completely enamored with, and Fabel Knitwear just delivers. It delivers for me. So this book, I think it will be out in March. 16 patterns, 8 of them are new, 8 of them are from her archive. And there are already 3 patterns from her archive that I wanted to make, or like from her current collection. One is the Oxford jumper, which I have in my fall winter knitting plans. The Lucrezia blouse, which is made in fluff, which is so cool. I'm so excited to make that one. And there was another one, the Paisane blouse. There's a mohair and like a non-mohair version. So there's already 3 patterns in there that I really want. I haven't even seen the 8 new patterns, but those 3 that's enough to sell me on it. So I will be probably doing a full like book review again, because I feel like it's just a bit of a different style. You don't get to see more of that historical vintage vibe in knitwear, and I personally really enjoy that. Okay, so after all of that chatting, I think I have covered all of my bases. So it's been a very happy, very productive 3 weeks of knitting. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that I have been entertaining for the past several minutes yapping away. But again, if you liked this video, please, I would appreciate a like, comment, subscribe. I would love to have you be a part of this community, and I appreciate your support so, so much. So until the next one, goodbye.